Welcome everyone. Yeah, it's good to see so many familiar faces, friends, colleagues, some new faces too, and all the scholars, the students who have actually worked with us last 3 months or more tirelessly. So before we come to the researching reality, what we did, I think it's also an honor for me to welcome each one of you today because it's a very special day for us. Even though CCS completed its 28 years on 15th of August, which is our official foundation day, but we are gathered here together with all of you. I can see people from all different sectors, all different spheres who have been part of our journey, including some of our school leaders, school teachers, some of our students, alum, and all together, I'm very confident and very sure that today is going to be a memorable day. We will have lots of fun moments today. There are, in the lineup, there are fun cultural programs planned for you. Then there is also going to be a very interesting lineup of what we call as annual Indian Liberals lecture. So that is something which is scheduled for today from 6:30 to 7:30. And after that, we will also try to honor, recognize some of you who have actually been part of the CCS journey, making it all so special. Let me welcome you once more, and then I will definitely move on to what I am called here for, which is basically to introduce you to the compendium, the research compendium that we have produced this year. So before we go to the research compendium, let me share a little bit about Researching Reality. So Researching Reality is actually CCS's annual flagship summer research internship program, where we bring together the students, recent graduates, scholars from different disciplines from all over the world. And I can very confidently say all over the world because in past there have been some scholars who have been Indians but studying abroad as well, who have been part of our research cohort. They usually stay together for 2 months, 8 to 9 weeks of rigorous research training that is given to them, alongside lots of thematic input, which can be different for different years. So that goes in, and then all together we produce sometimes a compendium like the way we are doing today. Sometimes we produce some research report, and it can be on different topics. So that's how we did it this year as well. So this year, the Researching Reality program was functionally operated from our office from 19th of May to 18th of July. I will share with you that we got a very interesting interdisciplinary mix of students. And I think that's the beauty of a program like this. So even though it's focused on research, the kind of diversity that we have in the group, be them coming from different backgrounds, different educational backgrounds, different geographical localities, but bringing them all together to brainstorm, discuss, go through the rigor together in order to develop this output always makes it very special. So as you know, this year's theme was basically on trust-based governance. So if I have to broadly look at Indian governance system, especially when we look at business laws, it is very easily understood that our Indian business governance system is basically operating predominantly on the presumption of guilt. And that is something which we want to challenge from this compendium of ours, that rather than being built on the presumption of guilt, it should be based on the presumption of liberty. And that is what our scholars examined over the last 3 months. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So let me just first start by sharing with you some of the interesting cases that we found. So one very interesting case is that in Maharashtra, if you basically, if you are found to order or sell any misbranded cotton seed, you can actually be imprisoned for 3 years. And that's such a big deterrence for anyone who want to be abiding by law and doing good while also maintaining their basic, simple livelihood. Another example is from Andhra Pradesh, where it criminalizes begging at any public place, where like the first offense can actually be a punishment, an imprisonment of up to 6 months to 2 years. The second offense can make the imprisonment to 2 to 3 years. And third offense can actually make you land in the jail for 3 to 5 years. We all know that we do, probably there can be some people in the room who can think that, yeah, begging doesn't look good as a social activity. But we probably need to think today that, is it a criminal activity? Do we want to send people to jail? And that too for 3 to 5 years. Next, if we will see in Uttar Pradesh, there is a law which basically criminalizes technical molasses management. So if you will see that on any sugar factory occupier for storage and handling of molasses, including if it's provided for converted accommodation or any safeguard against leakages, there are many criminal penalties that is being put. So based on these cases, this whole theme of researching reality for 2025 was conceptualized, which basically aims to highlight the intersection of laws and economics for sustainable development, aimed at generating evidence for decriminalization for minor business infraction. It also aimed to critically examine economic laws that hinder growth and innovation, aimed at promoting transparent, predictable, and trust-based regulatory environment was a critical part of our researching reality theme this year. We also realized that through this, the idea of encouraging entrepreneurship, job creation, and voluntary compliance would also be encouraged. And it will naturally ease out the judicial burden by reducing minor offenses. And broadly, the whole idea that we are all as Indians are very pumped up about, that is basically the Viksit Bharat 2047 mission. This whole idea of decriminalization actually is in support for that. Next. So the way we did it, basically, we built the foundation first in the students. There were some sessions on policy and research, and we have some of our faculty members also present with us today. Professor Malvika Pal, she ran an interesting and very impressive session on economic analysis in legal policy. Prashant Narang, our own, very own Prashant, he ran a session on legal writing fundamentals. We also have Akanksha with us today in the audience, who is from Technical University of Munich, and she ran a session on legal design. Then there were also some visioning and orientation exercises done by Amit, Dr. Amit Chandra, our CEO. And there were also some orientation about theme, methodology, and the way that different collaborations. There were additionally, after these sessions, there were some thematic sessions which were organized. We had one of our panelists also, whom you will listen to today, Gautam Chikramane from ORF, who did a very in-depth project overview for one of the reports that they produced at their organization called Jailed for Doing Business, so that our students were also exposed at how the similar analysis is being done by different other players in different time constraint. Then From Vidhi Center, we had Akash and Ketki, who ran the sessions for evidence-based legal reforms. Abha Yadav, ma'am from NLS Delhi, she ran a session on economic efficiency and decriminalization of corporate laws. Then again, this next session was from Vidhi on criminal penalties and business laws, especially focused on deterrence theory by Neha Loda and Varsha Banta. And from Department of Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, Dr. Jivisha Joshi, she was part of the session on ease of doing business and trust-based governance. If I present to you the broader demography of the scholars that we had in this cohort, so we had a total of 22 scholars who completed the program, and more than 2/3 of them were women, and that was like really a happy sign to see. 14 of them were women. They came from different disciplines, like even though economics was like around 39% of the students came from economics background, but there were also scholars from different other disciplines like law, political science, history, gender studies, sociology, public policy, and even STEM courses like engineering. So making it a very interdisciplinary cohort. And that reflected in the way some of the discussions were happening in the group when they were thinking about not only how the laws were evaluated, but also the way the laws were, like after evaluation, they were put for recommendations. So since like this interdisciplinary group actually came together, there were many innovative ideas in the room to solve the same problem. Even geographically, there was a huge diversity, people coming from all over India, different parts of India, including Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, and Himachal Pradesh. Next. So the research was basically, this whole process was based on 3 methodological phases. First, in the first phase, the scholar group, they did statute harvesting, where basically a comprehensive repository of business relevant laws from multiple sources including India Code, state law departments, legal databases were collated. They extracted all the provisions imposing criminal sanctions. We divided the whole cohort into 7 specific groups. The first group was looking at the central legislations. The other 6 groups were looking at different states, namely Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Delhi, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Maharashtra. So after harvesting all the statutes from different sources, validating it, verifying it, identifying and extracting different criminal provisions in these business laws, then we developed an in-house MCDA scoring method. MCDA is basically a multi-criteria decision-making analysis framework that we have developed in-house, and I will talk about that in the next slide. But that was something which we did, and after that, there were stakeholder engagement, where like our scholars talked to the primary stakeholders, the business people ranging from who were affected from these laws, and then conducted the analysis. After that analysis, they were put through a rigorous 10-principled framework to actually define the recommendations. So if we look at the MCDA framework, there were 8 different criteria within that. Broadly divided, there were 4 criteria which were directly focused on the thematic of business laws, and they had bigger like weightages. The other 4 criteria were primarily looking at the legal design part of it. So they were having, collectively they had 40% of weightage. So these 4 criteria of legal design were drafting clarity, overlap and duplication, procedural complexity, and absence of sunset or any review clause. The thematic criteria were economic impact, sanctions severity, compliance burden, and enforcement frequency. So through this framework, all these laws and their provisions were put through in order to create a quantitative scoring. So at an average, every group, they identified around 80 laws each. So we looked at total 533 laws, out of which for this MCD analysis, 40 laws were put through. And finally, 20 laws were identified, the top 20 laws for each groups were identified, which find space in our compendium, which comprises of 140 laws in total. So next, there were laws from different timelines where it was enacted from 1870s to the very latest ones in 2023, 2024. Next, then there were also from different sectors, from tax, agriculture and animal husbandry, urban governance, public order and safety, environment and natural sources, corporate and commercial. Next. If we look at the average MCDA score by states, it was very interesting to see that of the top 20 laws, the state which had the highest MCDA score was Delhi. Does that reflect anything? I leave to you to read the compendium and then decide and probably engage with us for the next round of conversation. Next, we had factor analysis also across states, so like these 8 factors, 8 criteria that I explained just before. So based on different factors, if you can see that sanction severity and procedural complexities were found to have the highest scoring among the laws that we identified. Next. Then state versus factor heat map was also created. All of that you will find in the compendium. Next. Then the 10 principles that we have put through all these, next please, to the 140 laws through in order to define the recommendations for it. I'll just read it out for them, and that will be probably an interesting background for the panel discussion, and I'm sure that you will all engage with the panelists and the ideas collectively. So the 10 principles that, the lens that we actually put through each of the laws that we identified. First one was presumption of liberty, which basically states that freedom is the default and restrictions require justification at all the ends. Then the principle was, second principle was limited and accountable government. So state power should be constrained and that should be transparent. Rule of law, laws should be clear, stable and applied equally. Spontaneous order was one of the principles, that social coordination emerges naturally, doesn't require any central planning, and that should be given precedence whenever you are, whenever any policy making system is looking for trust-based governance. Individual agency was one of our other principle, where the idea is basically that people should be free to make their own choices, and that should be promoted. Next. Then the next one was transparency. I will probably run through because of the time also. Decentralization, power should be distributed at lower levels of government, and decentralization should be reflected in the way laws are created in this country. Voluntary exchange, freedom of expression, and constitutional restraints make the remaining principles. Next. So basically, our reform, so like 140 laws were analyzed, 8 evaluation criteria, 10 liberty principles. Through all that, the approach was basically around industry-led governance. How we can use market-based incentives like certifications, ratings, reputation mechanism instead of criminal penalties. How can private contracts, arbitration, and civil remedies can be brought to the front rather than state coercion. So through that, we actually have come up with this compendium that we will share with you all. And yeah, next. But before I conclude, I will definitely share some of these paintings that were created by our wonderful scholars. So they had just one prompt, which was basically they were given 2.5 hours to think and paint their idea of decriminalization. what do they understand in about that. So this was the one on the left is basically a painting by the central team, and they actually titled it as "Trust is nurtured when the law is upheld with integrity rather than misuse as leverage." The one on the right is basically on an illustration which was created by Maharashtra team titled "The Burden of Justice." Next. We have the next one on the left with from the Rajasthan team. They tried to weigh the scales of justice through the lens of decriminalization through this illustration. Then the Uttar Pradesh team created this, the other beautiful one, which is basically their expression of the steep ladder of compliance for everyday business. Next. Yeah. Then the Andhra Pradesh team, they created this illustration on the left on ease of doing business for vendors and role of decriminalization in enabling their livelihood. The next one is basically from the Delhi team, which actually used to illustrate a different basically opportunities and over-regulation burdens that map them by illustrating this freehand painting. And that's where and the last one is basically a very beautiful one from the Assam team titled "Public Consultation as the Cornerstone of Trust and Governance." So with that, I would like to close my introduction to the compendium and the research that we have conducted over the last 3 months. And then I welcome you once again to engage further on the topic through the next couple of hours, and then join us for the subsequent part of our celebration. Thank you very much.